Every encounter has a reason. Have you ever met someone and felt like you've known them forever? Or maybe you crossed paths with a stranger whose words stayed with you for years. And then there are those people who show up, stir your soul, and walk away, leaving behind questions, memories, and sometimes wounds. The Buddha once said, not even a drop of water flows without a cause. And if that's true, then no meeting, no matter how brief or intense, is ever truly random. Every person you've met, loved, clashed with, or lost, they didn't just happen to appear. They were drawn to you by invisible threads. Threads woven from karma, timing, and spiritual lessons far deeper than we can see. There's something comforting and a little mysterious about thinking this way, isn't there? Imagine your life like a giant, evolving tapestry. Every thread, every color, every knot, each one is shaped by someone you encountered. Some threads rough on and smooth. Others are tangled, short, or frayed. But together, they form the story of you. The stranger who smiled at you when you were having a terrible day. The old friend who showed up during your darkest chapter. Even the person who challenged you so deeply it changed who you are. None of these were coincidences. They were all part of something larger. Something meant for your growth. In Buddhist teaching, there's a concept called dependent origination. It means everything arises due to causes and conditions. Nothing exists in isolation, and that includes people. So when someone enters your life, whether for a moment, a season, or a lifetime, they do so for a reason. Sometimes it's karma. You've met them before, in another form, in another time. And now you're back, continuing what was left unfinished. Other times, they're here to show you something. A truth about yourself. A wound that needs healing. A path you didn't know existed. Think about it. That person who tested your patience until you snapped. Maybe they were reflecting the parts of yourself you've avoided. The one who broke your heart. Perhaps they cracked it open so something deeper could grow. And what about those who felt like a blessing? The teacher who appeared when you were lost. The friend who simply understood without needing words. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. Not always in robes, not always with wisdom in their hands, but always with a role in your journey. There's a quiet magic in this perspective. It softens anger. It replaces regret with understanding. It turns heartbreak into insight. Because if everyone is a messenger, then even the painful encounters carry light. But here's the hard truth. Not everyone is meant to stay. Some people are bridges, not destinations. They carry you forward, then disappear. And that's okay. Buddhism teaches impermanence, not to make us sad, but to help us cherish what's here, now. When someone's role in your life is complete, learn to let them go with grace, not grief. So maybe today's video is your quiet reminder. To pause. To look back, not with bitterness, but with curiosity. Who has come into your life and changed it? Who challenged you, pushed you, helped you see yourself more clearly? What if they were meant to? What if you were ready all along? Close your eyes for a moment if you can. Picture someone who lifted you. Feel that gratitude deeply. Now picture someone who hurt you but helped you grow. Can you feel compassion not for what they did, but for who you became? Finally, remember someone you had to let go. A connection that ran its course. Send them peace. Wish them well. Because here's the truth. Every person you meet is a mirror, a message, or a milestone. You don't have to understand it all right now. Just trust the threads. Trust the timing. Trust that the universe never wastes an encounter. And when you do, when you open your heart to this truth, you will start seeing life not as a series of accidents, but as a beautifully orchestrated journey of becoming. The tapestry of karma and the wisdom of to be. Have you ever paused to wonder why certain people appear in your life right when they do? Why a stranger's smile feels strangely familiar? Or why some encounters, no matter how brief, leave a lasting mark on your heart? The Buddha once said, not even a drop of water falls without a cause. And if that's true, then nothing in your life, no conversation, no coincidence, no meaning is ever truly random. In Buddhist wisdom, there's a powerful teaching called Prachisamupta. It means dependent origination. It tells us everything arises because of something else. Everything is connected. That might sound simple, but it changes everything. Imagine your life as a vast, ever-evolving tapestry. And every person you meet, every soul that brushes against yours, is a thread in that design. Some threads run alongside you for years. Some weave in and out for just a moment. Some are tangled. Some are golden. But none are accidental. You see, this tapestry isn't something you stitch alone. It's being woven by karma, by the consequences of past actions, past choices, even past lives. And just like how a single thread can alter the whole pattern, so can a single encounter shift the course of your journey. Think back on your life for a moment. A chance conversation that gave you the exact clarity you needed. A friendship that felt instantly familiar, like you'd known each other long before this life. Or maybe someone who challenged you, triggered you, broke you open. At the time, it may have felt like luck, or pain, or confusion. But over time, you start to see the pattern. You realize that person didn't just walk into your life. They were woven into it. They were meant to be part of your story at exactly that moment. This is the power of understanding into being. In Buddhism, we don't see people or events as isolated. We see them as part of a living web of causes and conditions. Everything is shaping everything else all the time. And that includes you. You are not just the observer. You are the thread, the weaver, and the pattern itself. So the next time you find yourself wondering, why did this person show up in my life? Maybe ask instead, what am I meant to learn here? What energy are we exchanging? What part of my growth is being activated right now? Because even the smallest encounter, a glance, a word, a moment of kindness can carry a seed of transformation. There's a story in Zen Buddhism about a monk who once thanked a thief. When asked why, the monk said, "Because in stealing from me, he helped me let go of what I was still clinging to." Now, that might sound extreme, but it reflects something profound. Every person is a teacher. Some teach us love. Some teach us boundaries. Some teach us forgiveness. And some, they teach us what we still need to heal. Whether someone stays in your life for a lifetime or just for a single season, they are part of your karmic unfolding. And yet, here's the paradox. Even though we are all connected by these invisible threads, nothing lasts forever. That's another key part of the teaching, impermanence. You might feel deep sorrow when someone leaves. You might feel confusion when someone you trusted turns away. But what if their exit was also part of the design? Not everyone is meant to stay. Some people are bridges. They carry you across to a new place and then they're gone. And just like a thread in a tapestry, their presence was essential, even if they're no longer visible. So here's an invitation for you today. Take a moment. Reflect on your life not as a timeline, but as a living, breathing tapestry of connection. Who has been woven into your path? What threads surprised you? Which ones challenged you? Which ones brought light? And can you begin to see, even in the painful ones, the sacred purpose? The Buddha didn't ask us to avoid life's entanglements. He asked us to see them clearly. To recognize the beauty in the design, even when you don't yet understand the full picture. So, the next time someone walks into your life, pause, take a breath, and trust that this thread is part of your becoming. Because nothing is random. Not even a drop of rain. Not even a color. Every thread belongs. If this message resonated with you, consider subscribing. We share Buddhist wisdom, quiet reflections, and reminders to help you walk your path with more clarity and calm. Until next time, trust the tapestry. People arrive when you're ready, even if you don't know it yet. Have you ever noticed how the right people seem to show up at just the right time? Not when you wanted them to. Not when you begged the universe for help. But when, somehow, you were quietly ready, even if you didn't realize it. There's a quiet wisdom in that. A timing that doesn't follow our calendars or expectations, but follows something deeper. The Buddha once said, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. It's one of those phrases you've probably heard before. But have you ever really sat with it? Let's unpack it not as a quote on a poster, but as a truth that's quietly shaped your life more than you think. Think back on the people who changed you. A mentor, a partner, a stranger whose words cracked you open, someone who awakened something sleeping inside you. They didn't show up when you were chasing, striving, or forcing. They appeared when you were ready to receive, even if you were broken. Especially if you were broken. It's easy to think that life is random, that people just come and go without meaning. But in Buddhist thought, nothing comes without cause. Nothing ripens without the right conditions. And that includes human connection. You see, karma isn't just about consequence. It's also about timing. The seeds you plant don't sprout the next morning. They grow when the soil is soft enough, the rain gentle enough, and the sunlight just right. That old friend who came back into your life after years. That book you found on a shelf at the exact moment you needed it. That person you met by chance who shifted your entire perspective. No chance. Just right timing. What if I told you that long before you met them, the seed had already been planted? Maybe in this life. Maybe in another. But when the conditions were finally right, when your soul was ready, they appeared. Here's something even more powerful. Sometimes your readiness doesn't look like strength. It looks like heartbreak, exhaustion, surrender. We often think we're ready when we feel confident and in control. But many of life's most meaningful connections come in when your defenses are down, your heart is raw, and you've run out of scripts. Why? Because that's when your ego is quiet enough for the real lesson to learn. A personal story, if I may. There was a season in my life when everything felt uncertain. Career confusion. A relationship that had ended. No clear direction. I kept searching for answers, books, coaches, more noise. And then one day, out of nowhere, I reconnected with an old acquaintance. Someone I hadn't spoken to in years. We talked over coffee and they said just one thing, one line, that changed the entire way I saw my situation. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't even planned. But it hit with precision. Like a lock clicking into place. Looking back, I realized that moment couldn't have happened earlier. I wouldn't have been ready. I had to go through the confusion first. I had to soften. That conversation. That person. They arrived exactly when the door inside me had finally cracked open. So if you're in a season where you feel alone, or like the support hasn't come yet, let me offer you this. Maybe it's not time yet, not because you're behind, but because something inside you is still preparing. And when you're ready, not just on the outside, but deep in your soul, the people you need will appear. Not a second too early. Not a moment too late. Right on time. Here's the shift in mindset. Instead of chasing the right people, focus on becoming the right version of yourself. The one who can hear the lesson. The one who can receive the love. The one who can recognize the blessing when it knocks. Because people don't just arrive when you think you're ready. They arrive when your life energy aligns with what they carry. So breathe. Soften. Let go of the need to control the when and who. The universe isn't ignoring you. It's preparing you. And one day soon, when you least expect it, you'll meet someone who feels like an answer. And you'll realize they didn't show up late. They showed up right on time. The people who hurt you are mirrors for healing. Have you ever asked yourself, why did this person hurt me? Why do they deserve this pain? It's a natural question. When we are wounded by someone, especially someone we trusted, our minds search for meaning. Our hearts cry out for fairness, for justice, for closure. But what if I told you there's a different question, one that doesn't just explain the pain, but transforms it? Instead of asking, why me? Try asking, what is this here to teach me? In Buddhism, there's a quiet but powerful truth. The people who hurt you are often mirrors. They reflect back to you the very places that are still tender, still unhealed, still asking for your attention. That anger that rises in your chest, that heartbreak that cracks something open inside you, that resentment that lingers for months, even years. They are all signals, not signs of weakness, but invitations. Invitations to look inward, to examine what's still bleeding beneath the surface. It's not about blaming yourself. It's not about saying the hurt was okay. But it is about recognizing this truth. Pain is a teacher. And sometimes the most difficult people in our lives are the ones holding up the clearest mirror. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how certain people push your buttons in the same exact way over and over? You try to be patient, but that one coworker always triggers your temper. You try to love fully, but that one partner always awakens your fear of abandonment. You try to stay calm, but your parents' words still make you feel like a child again. That's not random. That's the mirror effect. Life keeps placing mirrors in front of us, not to punish us, but to help us finally see what we've been carrying. What needs healing? What needs release? One of my favorite Buddhist metaphors is this. Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You're the one who gets burned. We often think that if we hold on to the pain long enough, if we remember the betrayal vividly enough, we'll somehow protect ourselves from future harm. But the truth is, holding on to pain only delays the healing. The people who wounded you, they've already played their part. Now it's your turn to decide what to do with the wound. So here's a radical idea. What if their hurtful behavior had less to do with you, and more to do with what they were carrying? What if that betrayal wasn't personal, but a reflection of their own wounds, their own ignorance, their own suffering? It doesn't excuse what they did, but it frees you from taking on the burden as your own. Because when you stop asking, why did they do this to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? You shift from being the victim, to being the student, to being the one in charge of your growth. And sometimes the lesson is simple, but not easy. To finally set a boundary, to speak up when you've been silent, to recognize your own worth when someone else refused to see it. These are soul lessons, and often it takes pain to awaken. Here's something personal. There is someone in my life I love deeply, but that person constantly made me feel small, unseen, and unworthy. For a long time, I stayed silent, telling myself I can handle it or they'll change. But deep down, that pain was calling me to learn something I hadn't fully accepted. That love without respect is not love. And that staying silent to avoid conflict was just keeping me trapped. When I finally stepped back and looked at the experience as a mirror, I saw the truth. It wasn't just about them. It was about me and the parts of me that still believed I had to earn love by enduring pain. That realization, it hurt, but it healed. So if someone in your life has hurt you deeply, pause, breathe, feel what you need to feel. And when you're ready, ask the question that unlocks the door to growth. What is this here to teach me? Some people walk into our lives to love us, some to teach us, some to break us open so we can finally rebuild. And yes, some are mirrors reflecting the wounds we are here to heal. It's not easy work, but it's the kind of work that sets you free. So take the lesson, take the wisdom, and walk forward not bitter, but braver. The ones who feel like blessings. There's a beautiful saying in Buddhist wisdom. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. But here's something not everyone realizes. Not all teachers arrive in the form of a monk, a mentor, or a wise old figure. Sometimes the teacher is a friend, a stranger, a kind soul who shows up in the middle of your chaos without warning, without fanfare, and somehow feels like a blessing. Have you ever met someone and felt like you'd known them forever? There's no awkward small talk, no performance, just peace, as if your soul recognized them before your mind did. That's what calming timing feels like. These are the people who don't just walk into your life. They arrive at the exact moment your heart is quietly whispering for help. When you're tired, when you've lost your way, when the road feels foggy and you can't tell which way is forward. And then, out of nowhere, they appear, and it's as if someone turned on a light in the dark. It might be a friend who reminds you of your worth when you've forgotten. Or someone who listens without trying to fix you. A coworker who says just the right words over coffee. Or even a child whose laughter pulls you out of a long sentence. These moments may seem small on the outside, but they shift something big on the inside. That's what makes them blessings. Not because they fix your life, but because they remind you of the light that's still inside you. In Buddhist thought, these encounters are never accidents. They come with appointments set long before this lifetime. Some say they are old souls returning. Others believe they are simply aligned spirits whose paths were always meant to cross. But the truth is, you don't need to explain it. You'll know when it happens. Because in their presence, you feel safe. Not for what you've achieved, not for what you look like, but for who you are beneath all of it. Let me ask you something. Who has shown up in your life like that? Maybe it was a friend who sat with you during a loss, no advice, just quiet presence. Maybe it was a partner who didn't try to change you, but instead held space for you to become more of yourself. Or maybe it was someone you barely knew who showed you kindness at a moment when you truly needed it. These people are not just background characters in your story. They are guides, messengers, reminders that even in our loneliest moments, we are not alone. I remember a moment like that. I was going through a season of grief. The kind that does everything, the light, the laughter, the sense of direction. And one day, a woman I barely knew reached out. No big gesture, just a message. I don't know what you're walking through right now, but I want you to know you're not forgotten. That one sentence cracked something open. It didn't erase the pain, but it reminded me that life still held gentle places. And sometimes that's enough to keep going. That's the power of a soul who arrives like a blessing. So how do we honor these people? By recognizing them, by noticing their light, by thanking them, not always in words, but with the way we carry forward what they gave us. And maybe by becoming that kind of person for someone else. Because sometimes you are the blessing. Sometimes you are the one whose words will land at the perfect moment. You won't even know how deeply they mattered. But trust me, they will. The Buddha taught that everything is impermanent. People come, people go. But while they're here, we can cherish them fully. So if someone has walked into your life and lifted you, even for a moment, pause, close your eyes, send them gratitude. And if you're still waiting for that person to arrive, take heart. They will. When your heart is open, when your soul is ready, they'll walk in like light through the door you didn't know you left open. The silent teachers and the connection from a past life. Some of the most powerful teachers in your life will never stand at a podium. They won't speak in quotes. They may never even say a single word to you directly. But somehow their presence changes you. They walk into your life like a quiet breeze, and something inside you shifts. These are what I call the silent teachers. They don't instruct through advice or loud opinions. They teach by example, by how they show up in the world, how they carry themselves with grace in difficulty, how they choose kindness when it's not convenient, how they remain calm when others lose control. And just by observing them, you learn. Think for a moment. Have you ever known someone whose life taught you more than their words ever could? Maybe it was a grandparent who never preached, but always made you feel safe. Maybe it was a coworker who treated everyone with respect, even the ones others ignored. Or maybe it was someone you hardly knew, but something about their presence left a lasting imprint on your heart. That's the thing about silent teachers. They don't raise their voices, but they raise your awareness. And then there are the ones who feel like you've known them forever. It's hard to explain. You meet them for the first time, and yet something feels familiar. There's no need to warm up, no need to wear masks. It's as if your soul already recognizes theirs, like you're continuing a conversation that began long ago. In Buddhist thought, this might be described as a past life connection, a karmic relationship carried over through time. Now, whether or not you believe in reincarnation or karma isn't the point. The point is, have to earn your trust, because somehow they already have it. You didn't need to explain your words, because they could already sense them. And maybe without even trying, they helped you heal. I've experienced that kind of connection once. We met briefly, didn't share much about our lives, but something about their energy, the calm, the warmth, the way they listened, made me feel more at home than people I've known for years. They didn't give me advice. They didn't try to fix me. They just were. And in their quiet presence, I remembered who I was. That's what makes these encounters so sacred. They aren't loud, but they echo for a lifetime. And sometimes you are that silent teacher for someone else. Without knowing it, your patience might be shaping someone's worldview. Your resilience might be giving someone else hope. Your kindness might be the one thing keeping someone from giving up. You don't always see the ripple, but it's there. In a world obsessed with loud success, fast answers, and public declarations, the silent teachers remind us, true influence doesn't come from volume. It comes from depth. So today, I invite you to reflect. Who in your life has taught you without words? Who has shown you strength without shouting? Who has offered love without asking for recognition? And maybe even more importantly, can you be that kind of presence for someone else? Because sometimes your quiet courage, your quiet compassion, your quiet consistency is the greatest lesson of all. Not all teachers stand in front of a classroom. Some simply live their truth, and the world quietly learns from them. Some people feel brand new. Some feel ancient and familiar. But all of them, the silent mentors, the kind of friends, the souls who feel like home, arrive not by accident, but by the invisible threads that weave through time. So the next time you feel that quiet pull towards someone, don't ignore it. It might just be a soul you've known before, returning again to remind you of who you truly are. You are the one who came to help. We often look at the people who come into our lives and ask, what are they here to teach me? What am I supposed to learn from this connection? But sometimes the question flips. Sometimes you are the one who came to help them. Not every soul that crosses your path is here to guide you. Some are here because you have something they need. A word, a gesture, a light in the dark. And sometimes that light is you. It's a quiet truth we don't talk about enough. That serving others with no expectation of return can be a powerful act of spiritual purification. A way of clearing the old dust from our karmic path. A way of transforming past mistakes, debts, and unconscious patterns into compassion. You see, in Buddhist wisdom, helping someone is not just about generosity. It's about healing. When you extend kindness without demand, when you lift someone without needing praise, you're not just helping them move forward. You're helping your own soul become lighter. Think about it. Maybe there's someone in your life who seems lost, confused, or hurting, and you're the one they keep turning to. It may feel draining at times. You might even wonder why. But what if your presence in their life isn't random? What if you're the answer to a promise once made, long before either of you remembered? Maybe in another time, another life, they were there for you. And now, without even realizing it, you are returning the kindness. That is karma completing itself. But here's the thing. Helping others doesn't always look like some grand, self-sacrificial act. Sometimes it's just showing up, listening without judgment, holding space for someone when they're falling apart, sending a message when you feel they are not okay, believing in them when they've stopped believing in themselves. These may seem like small things, but they ripple deeper than you know. I remember a time years ago when I was struggling quietly. No one knew. I kept showing up to work, smiling, doing what needed to be done. But inside, I was numb. One morning, out of nowhere, a coworker handed me a coffee and said, "I don't know why, but I felt like you might need this today." That moment cracked something open. Not because of the coffee, but because someone saw me. without me having to ask. That one act reminded me I wasn't invisible. To this day, I still don't know if she knew how much that meant. But she was the one who came to help. And maybe, just maybe, she cleared a little karma in the process. So now I ask you, who is showing up in your life that you're meant to support? Not because you owe them something, not because they've earned it, but because your soul recognizes their pain and chooses love anyway. Maybe it's a sibling who never quite found their footing, a friend who seems to attract chaos, a stranger you felt compelled to help without knowing why. You don't need to fix their life. You don't need to carry their burdens. But your kindness, your presence, your gentle strength might be exactly what their soul needs to grow. And here's the twist. The more you give from a place of authenticity, the more your heart begins to heal as well. Helping others with pure intent doesn't drain you. It frees you. It lightens the energetic baggage you didn't even know you were carrying. It rewrites old stories that said, "I'm not enough. I've made too many mistakes." Or, "I'll never be whole." Every act of service done with love pulls you closer to the version of you that is already whole. So today, I invite you to shift the lens. Not every person is here to change your life. Some are here because you are meant to touch theirs. You may never be thanked. You may never be recognized. But that doesn't mean it didn't matter. In fact, sometimes the help that goes unseen is the most sacred of all. So walk through the world with soft eyes. Offer your light where it's needed. And trust that every quiet act of compassion is echoed in the fabric of your soul's journey. The impermanence of relationships. Have you ever noticed how some people come into your life? Like a flash of light, brief, beautiful, unforgettable. And then one day, they are gone. It's strange, isn't it? How someone can be your everything in one chapter, and bury a memory in the next. But here's the quiet truth the Buddha taught. No one stays forever. Not out of cruelty, not out of failure, but because they weren't meant to. We often think that meaningful relationships should last a lifetime. We romanticize the idea of forever. But in Buddhist wisdom, impermanence is not something to fear. It's something to understand and embrace. Because the people who come into your life, they each have a role, a lesson, a season. Some are meant to walk with you for a while. Some just long enough to shift your direction, and some simply arrive to help you cross a single, narrow bridge. Think about it. There are people in your past who were everything to you once. A best friend, a mentor, a lover. Now, you barely speak or not at all. At first, it might hurt. You might ask, what happened? Why did they leave? Was I not enough? But what if leaving wasn't the tragedy we made it out to be? What if it was simply their chapter ending? In the great book of your life, not everyone is meant to stay until the last page. Some people are like bridges. They help you move from one version of yourself to the next. You meet them during a transition, when everything feels uncertain, and somehow they carry you across. And once you've crossed, their job is done. Not out of abandonment, but completion. Others are yours. They reflect your deepest wounds, your blind spots, your blurred edges. Sometimes you'll love what you see. Other times you'll flinch. But either way, they show you more clearly than you could ever see on your own. And then there are the Latins. The ones who show up just when the night feels too long. They don't stay. But in their short presence, they light the next few steps of your path. It's easy to cling when a relationship feels good. To hold on tightly, hoping it will never change. But clinging, the Buddha said, is the root of suffering. We suffer not because people leave, but because we expect them to stay when their lesson is done. So maybe the real practice isn't about holding on, but learning how to let go with gratitude. Let me ask you something. Who in your life have you had to release? Not because they did anything wrong, but because the energy shifted. Because your paths, once parallel, quietly drifted apart. Think back. What did they bring you? What part of your journey did they make lighter, clearer, more alive? Maybe it was a friend who stood by you during grief. Maybe it was a relationship that awakened your sense of self-worth. Or maybe someone who hurt you, but in doing so, taught you how to set boundaries. Even those who brought pain also brought awakening. When we stop fighting the natural flow of relationships, we begin to live with so much more pace. We stop asking, why did they leave me? And start asking, what did this connection awaken in me? It doesn't mean you won't miss them. It doesn't mean you won't feel the ache. But it does mean you'll find a deeper kind of closure. Not from words, but from understanding. Life is like a train station. People come in, people go. Some sit with you for hours. Others just pass through with a smile. But every soul you meet adds to your story. So let's honor them. The bridges, the mirrors, the lanterns. They were never random, never wasted. And when it's time for them to go, may we not hold on in fear, but bow in gratitude and whisper, thank you for your part in my journey. Because when you understand impermanence, you don't love less, you love deeper. You cherish people while they're here, and you let them go with peace when they must move on. Meditation and the invisible threads of gratitude. Have you ever stopped and really considered why certain people show up in your life? Not just the ones you love, but also the ones who hurt you, challenged you, or left without a word. We often think life is random, that we bump into people by chance. But maybe it's not random at all. Maybe every encounter, no matter how brief or painful, is part of something greater. A hidden choreography of souls meeting at just the right moment, for just the right reason. There's an old Buddhist teaching that says, not even a single drop of water falls without a cause. That means nothing, not even the smallest meeting, happens by accident. The stranger who smiled at you on a hard day. The friend who showed up when you were falling apart. Even the person who broke your heart wide open. They weren't accidents. They were threads in the invisible fabric of your life. You see, every person we meet carries a message. Some come to lift us. Some come to challenge us. Some come to teach us how to let go. And others come so we can be the one who helps, who heals, who gives. Each encounter is a mirror, a lesson, a quiet invitation to grow. But most of us rush through these moments. We get caught in our stories, our hurts, our expectations, our busy minds. We forget to pause and truly look at the people in front of us. We forget to ask, what is life trying to show me through this person? What can I learn if I stop and listen? So today, I want to invite you to slow down, to take a breath, to sit with the mystery of these invisible threads, the ones that tie us all together. Not with judgment, not with blame, but with gratitude. Because when you look at your life through the lens of gratitude, you realize something powerful. Everyone you meet is helping you come home to yourself. Now, let's take a moment to pause together. If you're somewhat quiet, close your eyes. And if you're driving or busy, simply breathe a little deeper as you listen. Let's begin a short meditation of gratitude. Take a slow breath in and exhale gently. Now, bring to mind someone who helped you. It could be someone close, a parent, a friend, a mentor. Or it could be someone you barely knew. A stranger who said something kind when you needed it most. Feel their presence. Feel the warmth of their attention. Now, quietly say in your heart, thank you for seeing me, for lifting me. Let yourself feel that gratitude fully. Now, gently shift your focus. Bring to mind someone who hurt you. Someone whose actions or absence left a mark on your heart. You don't need to relive the pain. Just notice what's still there. And when you're ready, whisper in your heart, I see your pain behind your actions. To release this weight, I choose to forgive. You don't need to condone what happened. You're simply choosing your peace. Now, think of someone who has left your life. Maybe they moved on. Maybe the relationship faded. Maybe life took them elsewhere, or even beyond this world. Feel their memory, the lessons they brought, the space they now leave, and gently say, "May you be well. Thank you for walking part of the way with me." Let that blessing go with them, softly, lovingly, freely. Take one last breath in, and as you exhale, return to the present moment. You see, when we shift our mindset from resentment to reverence, from questioning to understanding, from clinging to releasing, our hearts soften. Our lives begin to make a little more sense. Not because the pain disappears, but because we no longer fight it. We learn from it. We grow through it. And in that process, we become more whole, more aware, more at peace. So the next time someone enters or exits your life, pause, look deeper, and ask not why me, but what is this moment trying to teach me? Because life is always teaching. The universe is always weaving, and you are always growing. Letting go of attachment to people. Let's be honest with ourselves for a moment. When someone becomes important to you, a partner, a friend, a mentor, it's natural to want to hold on, to want them to stay, to want things to remain as they are forever. But life doesn't work that way. And deep down, we know this. Still, we cling. We cling to connection, to affection, to the way things used to be. And we tell ourselves, if I can just hold on tight enough, maybe it won't slip away. But in Buddhism, there's a gentle truth. One that's hard to swallow, but liberating once understood. Clinging is the root of suffering. Even clinging to people. Because when we are attached, love becomes tangled with fear. Fear of loss. Fear of change. Fear of not being okay without them. We stop experiencing the person for who they are, and start projecting what we need them to be. Have you ever noticed how pain arises not just from someone leaving but from resisting their leaving? It's not just the goodbye that hurts, it's the expectation that they should have stayed. But people, like seasons, change. They grow. They shift. They walk their paths. And sometimes their path no longer runs alongside yours. That doesn't mean the love wasn't real. It means the season is over. Picture this. You're standing by the ocean. The waves come in, touch your feet, then retreat. You don't try to hold the water. You don't demand it stay. You just receive it fully, gratefully, and let it go when it must return to the sea. People are like that, too. They arrive. They touch your life. They change you. And then they move on. Sometimes slowly. Sometimes suddenly. But always as part of the natural flow. This is the art of loving without clinging. Loving someone enough to be present. Truly present while you have them. But also loving yourself enough to let them go. When their time in the story is done. You see, attachment says, I need you to stay so I can be okay. But love in its highest form says, I want you to be free, even if that means I'm not beside you. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's strength. Letting go doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we stop trying to control. It means we accept that we can't hold back the tide. We can love people deeply, but we don't own them. We can cherish memories, but we can't trap time. And here's something worth reflecting on. What if the purpose of love isn't to keep, but to learn, to grow, to awaken? Maybe the people you loved were never meant to stay forever. Maybe they were meant to open your heart, teach you something about who you are, and then continue on their way. And maybe, just maybe, your greatest peace won't come from holding on, but from honoring what was, and letting it end with grace. So if you're clinging to someone today, someone who's left or is drifting away, someone who no longer chooses to walk beside you, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, am I loving them or am I clinging to the idea of them? Am I holding space for their freedom or trapping them in my fear? What would it feel like to love and let go? Sit with that. Let the answers come slowly. No judgment. Just honesty. When we stop clinging, something amazing happens. Love becomes lighter, purer, more alive. It's no longer about possession. It's about presence. So love freely. Hold gently. And when it's time, let go lovingly. Because love is not about holding someone in place. It's about holding them in your heart even as they walk away. Expanding the heart through every encounter. Have you ever looked back at someone who once hurt you and felt something unexpected? Not pain, not anger, but gratitude. Gratitude for the lesson, for the growth, for how that encounter, however messy, pushed you to open your heart just a little wider. You see, every person who enters your life brings a key that can unlock a part of you. Your strength, your softness, your shadow, or your light. It's easy to feel thankful for the ones who love us gently, who show up when we need them, who make life feel safe and kind. But what about the others? The ones who disappointed you, the ones who triggered your insecurities, the ones who made you question everything. It might sound strange, but they, too, are part of your evolution. Because sometimes the most powerful spiritual growth doesn't come through comfort. It comes through friction. Think about it. The friend who ghosted you taught you the art of letting go. The partner who broke your heart taught you when you still abandon yourself. The difficult boss, the critical parent, the stubborn sibling. Each one a mirror, showing you something you couldn't yet see in yourself. Painful. Yes. Necessary. Also yes. Because without these moments, the heart stays small. Closed. Afraid. Guarded. But when we stop running from these experiences and begin to meet them with presence, something miraculous happens. The heart begins to stretch. This is the sacred work of life. To turn every encounter, even the ones wrapped in pain, into fuel for transformation. You don't need to justify the harm someone caused. You don't need to pretend it didn't hurt. But if you can ask yourself just one honest question, how can I open my heart more because of this? Then the wound starts becoming a doorway. The ache becomes awareness. And the story becomes sacred. It's a powerful shift. From asking, why did this happen to me? To wondering, what is life trying to awaken in me through this person? That's when you move from victimhood to wisdom. From contraction to expansion. In Buddhist thought, this is soul evolution. Karma being transformed. The spirit waking up through the raw beauty of human relationship. When you choose to meet life with awareness instead of bitterness, you're not just healing. You're cleansing karma. You're polishing the soul. That's how you evolve. So the next time someone enters your life, whether they make you laugh or make you cry, pause. Instead of labeling them as good or bad, ask yourself, what part of me are they activating? How is this helping me grow, love, soften, or see more clearly? What truth about myself or the world is life inviting me to notice here? Because everyone, yes, everyone is a teacher. Even if they don't know it. Even if you don't see it yet. Here's the truth. Some people will walk with you for decades. Others just for a chapter. And some will be long enough to teach you a single, life-changing lesson. But all of them, every single one, helps you open your heart a little wider. Live a little deeper. Love a little freer. And if you meet each connection, not with resistance but with reverence, then no meeting is ever wasted. So tonight, take a quiet moment. Close your eyes. Think of someone from your past, someone who challenged you, who stretched you, who perhaps hurt you. And ask yourself, what did I learn from that experience? What part of me grew because of it? How can I choose gratitude even now? Because when you reflect with gratitude, you don't just rewrite the story. You rewrite your soul's journey. This is how the heart expands. Not all at once, but breath by breath, lesson by lesson, person by person. So walk gently, love deeply, and keep your heart open. Because every person you meet is not a mistake. They are part of your becoming. No one crosses your path by accident. Trust the invisible threads. Have you ever stopped to think, why did that person come into your life exactly when they did? Why did a stranger's smile lift your spirit on a difficult day? Why did someone appear, love you deeply, and then, just as suddenly, disappear? And why do some people return again and again, as if tied to your soul by something unseen? It might seem random, coincidence, luck, but in the quiet teachings of the Buddha, there is a deeper truth. Not even a drop of water falls without a cause. In other words, nothing is accidental. Not the joy, not the heartbreak, not the timing of the people who walk into and out of your story. Buddhism teaches that everything is connected. By karma, by energy, by causes and conditions long before this lifetime. The people you meet are not just faces passing by. They mirrors, mentors, messages, each one sent to shape your path in a way you may not even realize yet. Some enter your life to comfort you, others to challenge you, some to walk beside you, others simply to awaken something sleeping inside your soul. Think back. Have you ever met someone who felt instantly familiar, like you've known them forever? Or someone who made you feel seen in a way no one else did? These could be what Buddhism calls karmic connections. Not just random meetings, but sacred appointments, threads that are weaving their way towards you through time. You may have shared a bond in a past life, a promise, a lesson unfinished, and now you've met again, perhaps to heal, perhaps to learn, perhaps to let go. But not every connection feels more easy. Some people test your patience, trigger your insecurities, leave scars that take years to understand. And yet, even these souls, the difficult ones, they too serve a purpose. They are mirrors, showing you the parts of yourself still wounded, still needing compassion. They come not to break you, but to wake you. You don't need to welcome the pain. But if you can learn to welcome the lesson, that's where your real power begins. Then there are the fleeting encounters. A kind stranger, a single conversation, a moment of connection that seems small, but lingers in your memory for years. Even these, the Buddha would say, are not by chance. They are gentle reminders that the universe is always speaking, if we are quiet enough to listen. So what do we do with this truth? How do we live in a world where people come and go, sometimes without warning, sometimes without closure? We cherish them while they are here. We learn from them. And when the time comes, we let them go with peace. Just as not every seed grows into a tree, not every person is meant to stay forever. Some are bridges, carrying you from one season to the next. Some are lanterns, lighting your path when you felt lost. And some are simply companions for a chapter, no less important, even if their time was short. Here's what's beautiful. When you begin to see every person as part of your soul's unfolding, you stop asking, why did they hurt me? And start asking, what did they awaken in me? What lesson did I come here to learn? That shift from pain to purpose changes everything. And if you're grieving someone right now, someone who's gone, someone who let go before you were ready, pause, take a breath, and consider this. Maybe their role in your story is complete. Not because something was broken, but because something inside you is now whole. So here's what I invite you to carry with you. Trust the invisible threads. Every person is part of your spiritual journey. No one crosses your path by accident. Each meeting is a quiet nudge from the universe. Each goodbye a part of your becoming. We don't get to keep everyone we love, but we do get to love everyone we meet. So cherish the ones walking beside you now. Bless those who've moved on. And stay open to the souls you've yet to meet. As the Buddha once said, with our thoughts, we make the world. And with our karma, we meet our companions on the way. Every encounter is sacred. Every soul a teacher. Every thread exactly where it's meant to be.